Hi, my name is Ashley Varner, and this is video 1 for my assessment module target student in the 7 through 12 setting. John Doe had 3 formal assessments. He did not have any informal assessments. His first, in our district, we pretty much do the same 3 formal assessments when we go to evaluate a student. My other student in the K through 6 setting, they did have an informal assessment because our elementary, they use the iReady curriculum and it has the diagnostic. However, in the high school building, they don't use iReady. Therefore, I do not have an informal assessment for that student. So the first formal assessment for John Doe was the Reynolds Intellectual Assessment Scales. Now, I explained in the last video, and I will explain it in this one. This is a cognitive and intellectual assessment. It assesses the student's cognitive abilities, and actually, if you just want to get simple with it, this is just an IQ test. So anybody from 3 to however old you are, as long as you're cognitive enough to take the test, can take this IQ test and can get results. So for this student, John Doe's verbal intelligence index score was a 76, which is well below average. His nonverbal intelligence index was 51, which was, again, well below average. His composite intelligence index score was a 59, which once again is well below average. So his scores indicates severe deficits in general intelligence, meaning that he experiences difficulty acquiring information provided in the general education classroom. Now, once again, like our previous student, this does not mean that John Doe cannot learn, because he can. We just have to change our delivery methods. We have to modify it. We have to simplify it. We have to make it to where his brain can understand it. The next formal assessment given to John Doe is the Kaufman Test of Educational Achievement, 3rd edition. We call this the KTEA. The previous assessment was a cognitive or an intellectual test. This is educational. So it is made for students in grades 1 through 12. It is not for anybody else outside of school like the previous assessment. And this formal assessment, they take the test, and it is given, we give them different domains, different content area. So like, for example, John Doe will be taking a test like over phonics, over high frequency words, written expression, reading comprehension, reading fluency, math applications, math problem solving, math calculations, different things like that. And then whenever he gets done taking the test, it highlights the areas that he needs to work on. So for this, John Doe, his results indicated a significant discrepancy in the areas of passage comprehension, applied problems, and calculation. So mainly in math. The student struggles a lot in math, and his comprehension in reading struggles as well. He's a very fluent reader, we found out. It's just the retaining what he's reading. So our third formal assessment is the Adaptive Behavior Assessment Scale, the 2nd edition. We call this the ABAS. And we give a form to parents or guardians, and we give a form to the teacher, the student's teacher. And they fill this out. Now this has, this is more like what they can do. Maybe not educationally, but this is what they can do in real life and everyday activities, how well they can manage. So it's a rating scale, and we have different categories, different, I like to call them different domains. So, one might be self-direction, another one might be school environment or work environment if the student works, has a little job or something, different things like that. And so the parents and the teacher will rate the student on can do with some help, can do with mild help, can do by oneself, and then there's the not able to do. And what we tell parents, we tell them, when you're scoring this, don't score it based on don't rate your child on other students with impairments. So we want to compare your student to another student his age, another child his age that has no impairments. And so if your student cannot do this, then we want to make sure to put that your student cannot do this. Because if you say, oh, well, if I give them a little bit of help with this, no, if they can't do it on their own, then they cannot do it. Because if you don't score it correctly, if you don't rate the student correctly, then when the scores come back, they're not going to come back right. And we want to make sure that if this student needs help, that we give them help and they get the help that they need based on this. So for John Doe, it was found that he was at risk for functional academics and self-direction. Okay, so the functional academics, this is pretty much him being able to do his work in class. This is him being able to function in a general education classroom or even in a resource room, because we have to make sure that everything that we're teaching him is on his level, that it's that is to where he can understand it. The self-direction. So honestly, with students his age, with boys his age, boys are boys. Sometimes they don't have the greatest self-direction. We have to tell them, pick up your socks, put them in the laundry basket, go sharpen your pencil before class, being able to know what they need to do. So John Doe may have to be told every day, okay, John Doe, get out your notebook. We do this every day, but he can't do that on his own. And so somebody has to remind him to do this, take the necessary steps to get ready for class. So those were the 3 formal assessments that was given. And John Doe is actually found to receive services in the SLD category. So he has a specific learning disability, and in that learning disability, his main struggle is in math, and that was found in the KTEA. He struggles with math calculation and math applied problems, and so we that passage comprehension, that kind of ties on over to the math side, because math is not just numbers all the time. There are also word problems that John Doe has to complete and he has to work through. So these 3 formal assessments are giving us a little bit of extra information so that we can make sure that John Doe gets the services he needs, so that he can get the modifications that he needs to be successful in his classrooms and in his everyday life.